At the southernmost point of our planet lies a continent of ice, a vast and silent wilderness of breathtaking scale. This is Antarctica. It is a place of extremes, where the cold is so profound it seems to crystallize the very air we breathe. For millennia, this land has been locked in a deep freeze. Within this immense icebound landmass lies a region of particular concern, one that holds a significant portion of our planet's future in its frozen grasp. This is the West Antarctic ice sheet. It is a true giant, a colossal reservoir of fresh water, frozen solid, stretching over an area larger than Mexico. Its sheer size is hard to grasp. The importance of this sheet cannot be overstated. It acts as a global thermostat, its bright white surface reflecting the sun's energy, helping to regulate Earth's temperature. A sleeping giant whose stability we've long taken for granted. The ice here is astoundingly deep, in places over 2 kilometers thick. It contains enough frozen water to raise global sea levels by several meters. For generations, we regarded it as eternal, but that perception is a dangerous illusion. The giant is not eternal. It is beginning to stir. The stability of the West Antarctic ice sheet has been maintained for thousands of years by a delicate, natural balance. This outward flow is held in check by enormous floating ice shelves, which act like stoppers in a bottle. This equilibrium, which has persisted for millennia, is now being profoundly disturbed. The primary cause is not a mystery. It is the direct result of a planet that is warming at an unnatural and alarming rate. These gases act like a blanket, wrapping around our planet and preventing heat from escaping into space. The result is global warming. The oceans have absorbed the vast majority of this excess heat, more than 90% of it. The Southern Ocean, which surrounds Antarctica, is warming faster than the global average, and its heated waters are now reaching the most vulnerable parts of the ice sheet. It attacks them from their most vulnerable point, from below. The grounding line is the critical point where the ice sheet lifts off the bedrock and begins to float. As this point is melted and eaten away, the ice shelf weakens, thins, and becomes more prone to fracturing and collapse. When these protective ice shelves disintegrate, the glaciers they were holding back are unleashed. Their flow towards the sea accelerates dramatically, a process that is now being observed and measured across West Antarctica with undeniable clarity. The evidence is now overwhelming and unambiguous. Scientific studies, using decades of satellite data, have shown that the rate of ice loss from West Antarctica has tripled in the last decade alone. This is not a distant theoretical projection for the future. Within the vast expanse of the West Antarctic ice sheet, one glacier has become the focus of intense scientific scrutiny. It is called the Thwaites Glacier. It is immense, roughly the size of Great Britain. It has earned a deeply unsettling nickname, the Doomsday Glacier. This is not for dramatic effect. It is a name born of scientific concern. Thwaites is one of the continent's fastest melting glaciers, and its retreat is accelerating. It acts as a natural dam holding back a colossal volume of ice. The reason lies in the unique topography beneath the ice. The bedrock slopes downward inland, a retrograde slope. As warming ocean melts the glacier's base at the grounding line, the glacier retreats onto ever deeper ground. This exposes a thicker cliff face to warm water, increasing melting and accelerating retreat. That creates a terrifying feedback loop, a runaway process that may be impossible to stop. Thwaites' complete collapse would raise sea levels by around 2 feet. But Thwaites is the cork in the bottle for the rest of the West Antarctic ice sheet. Its disintegration would remove buttressing on neighboring glaciers. If the whole West Antarctic ice sheet followed Thwaites into the sea, global sea levels would rise by around 9.8 feet, or 3 meters. This is not speculative, it's physically plausible. We are witnessing the early stages today. The glacier's flow speed has doubled in the last 30 years. We're no longer talking millennia or centuries, but shifts within a single human lifetime. The Doomsday Glacier is sending a clear and urgent warning. A global sea level rise of 9.8 feet is a number so large it is difficult to truly grasp. It is not simply higher tides along our coastlines. It represents a fundamental redrawing of the world map. Asia's coastal megacities are home to hundreds of millions. Shanghai, Mumbai, Ho Chi Minh City. They are homes, history, and economic hearts. A 3-meter rise would inundate vast swaths, displacing tens of millions. Low-lying deltas like the Mekong Delta and the Ganges-Brahmaputra Delta, some of the world's most productive agricultural lands, would be largely wiped out, triggering a global food security crisis. The United States would not be spared. Florida would be irrevocably altered, much of its southern half, including Miami, disappearing. New Orleans could not withstand this, parts of Boston, New York City, Charleston, and then there are the small island nations, Maldives, Tuvalu, Marshall Islands. For them, 9.8 feet is a death sentence. Their land, culture, and sovereignty extinguished. They bear the brunt of a crisis they did little to create. Their fate is our urgent warning. The collapse of the West Antarctic ice sheet is not only environmental, it's a humanitarian crisis on a scale never before witnessed. The threat of rising seas is not confined to distant shores. It looms large over the historic heart of Europe. Many of the continent's most celebrated and ancient cities were built on the water. London, the sprawling capital of the United Kingdom, is a prime example. A sea level rise of 3 meters would overwhelm these defenses entirely, submerging vast areas of the city, including iconic landmarks like the Houses of Parliament and the Tower of London. Further south, the city of Venice has been battling the water for centuries. A permanent 3-meter rise in the base sea level would render such defenses obsolete. It would mean the constant, irreversible flooding of St. Mark's Square. Across the North Sea, much of the Netherlands exists as a testament to human ingenuity in holding back the ocean. A 3-meter rise in sea level would present an unprecedented, perhaps insurmountable challenge to this nation. In Germany, the port city of Hamburg would be severely impacted. In Denmark, large parts of the capital, Copenhagen, would be at risk. Along the Mediterranean, the coastline of Spain, the historic deltas of France would be permanently altered. These are not merely economic or infrastructural losses. They represent the destruction of cultural heritage accumulated over thousands of years. They are places that define national identities and hold a shared history for all of humanity. The consequences of Antarctic collapse are not limited to human coastlines. They will also bring devastation to one of the most unique and fragile ecosystems on Earth. Antarctica may seem barren, but it's teeming with life. Perhaps no creature is more symbolic than the emperor penguin. They breed on stable, shore-fast sea ice during the Antarctic winter. If the ice forms too late, breaks up too early, or is absent, colonies fail. The changes ripple down the food chain. Antarctic krill, tiny, shrimp-like, and the ecosystem's cornerstone, rely on sea ice. With less sea ice, krill populations will fall. That collapse hits almost every animal here. Warmer ocean intrusion also disrupts seabed life. Slow-growing sponges, corals, other invertebrates face thermal shock. New predators like king crabs invade. We risk losing a whole biological realm, a unique library of evolutionary history, before we fully understand it. The silent kingdom of Antarctica is crying out for help. The melting of the West Antarctic ice sheet does more than just raise sea levels. It triggers a cascade of profound changes that will affect the fundamental operating systems of our planet. The oceans are not static. They are a network of interconnected currents that transport heat nutrients, dissolved gases around the globe. Disrupting this process would be like throwing a wrench into the engine of our planet's climate. It could lead to significant cooling in parts of the North Atlantic, including Western Europe, while accelerating warming in other parts of the world. It could also shift weather patterns globally, altering the paths of storms. Ice, being white and reflective, acts like a giant mirror, bouncing a significant portion of the sun's energy back into space. As the ice melts and is replaced by the dark, open ocean, more of the sun's energy is absorbed by the water. The redistribution of mass on such a colossal scale can actually have a small but measurable effect on the Earth's rotation and the tilt of its axis. We are not just changing the climate, we are physically altering the dynamics of our planet. The evidence laid before us is stark, and the story it tells is one of profound urgency. We are the first generation to fully understand the consequences of our actions on the global climate. The path forward is clear, though not easy. It requires a rapid and dramatic reduction in our greenhouse gas emissions. The primary task is to transition our global energy system away from fossil fuels and towards clean, renewable sources. This requires bold and decisive action from governments around the world. This is not a task for governments alone. It is a responsibility that falls to all of us. As citizens, we can demand more from our leaders. As consumers, we can make choices that reduce our own carbon footprint. We can support businesses and organizations that are pioneering sustainable solutions and innovating for a cleaner future. What we do in this decade will determine the state of our planet for centuries, even millennia, to come. We stand at a crossroads in our history. We can continue on our current path and bequeath to our children a world of rising seas. Or we can choose a different path. we can choose to act with courage, foresight, and a shared sense of responsibility for the magnificent